I hate birds. I don't really even like spring and summer and all that anymore because I'm not active. And if you keep the windows open, you get to hear hedge clippers, lawn mowers, weed whackers, people in general firing up their cars, making noise, working on cars, motorcycles, lots of motorcycles. You get to hear kids, you get to hear a bunch of noise, but right now I'm listening to birds chirp, and that's all, and it's making me very angry. So I hate birds. Oh, did I say chainsaws? Because there's like a wooded area back there, and chainsaws is a constant thing. But yeah, last night was one of the worst nights I had in a very long time, and I didn't go to sleep until 5 in the morning. I woke up about 8:30. I don't know what time after five, but it was after five. I took like two and a half, no, it would be like two and a half pills of Valium, trying to go to sleep. I didn't tap into the gabapentin. But yeah, whew, I'm a mess today. I've been messed up for a few days because I did something or another to my neck. It wasn't like a wake up with a crick in your neck thing. I don't know what a crick is, but that's what the old folks always used to say. You got a crick in your neck. We also call a crick something you catch fish out of, so I don't know how to make any sense out of that. But I mean, it hurt like to turn my neck this way. It hurts now to do that, but I mean, like knifing pains, and I could feel it like down here going up the side of my head. It's been like that for about, well, this will be the third day, so I shouldn't even be propped up. I should be laying flat because that's the only thing I can, whatever that is or however that happens. But I woke up a couple of days ago, and it was like the first day I had the recliner in the living room, and I woke up and I crawled back in here out of habit, and then I got up like the second time, and I was like, "What the fuck happened to my neck?" And I was like walking all twisted up with my neck out this way, and yeah, that's uncool. I don't know what's going on, but last night was hellish, and the amount of pain I was in, and this morning, lots of pain. Um, what can you do? That's the RPS, man. It's very unpredictable. I don't know if it has anything to do with, my bowels unlocking or whatever, but it's just, CRPS is just weird. I don't like to talk about that kind of stuff. I think it's, I don't know, gauche to talk about the actual necessities, the actual physical necessities that we are all under. I told myself, like, I've had these problems for years, and I always try to avoid talking about them because I don't like talking like an old man. And my leg has been very painful the last few days, so I've limited uh, my activity, and my neck has been screwed up. So this has been a bad couple of days for me uh, emotionally. I was on the phone. I even felt bad. I was on the phone with my cousin yesterday, and he wasn't talking a lot, and I didn't, I was just talking like I always do, and I didn't ask him like how he was feeling or anything like that. As far as like, do you want to get off the phone? I think I kept him on the phone. He was just being polite. But um, I finally said, we can get off the phone if you want to. I know you ain't feeling good because uh, he works in a lumber mill, and he told me last week that he wasn't sure if he was going to make work on Monday because he felt sick, and he didn't. He went into work Monday, or you know last Monday, and he was like, "Nope, not going to do it." And I'm walking out, and they're like, "You gonna quit?" And he's like, "No, I'm just not going to work today. That's all." So yeah, he was sick all week, and he didn't sound good on the phone. He's a heavy smoker, and he didn't sound good at all. And I felt bad that I even kept them on the phone that long. And I'm like, I'm just talking about the same old shit anyway. So I'll try not to do that for however long I'm on here. Um, yeah, it's really warm here now. Like, you know, first thing this morning I opened the window. So I'm like mid 60s, something like that. Doesn't do me any good. I don't get to go nowhere or anything like that because of the problems I've been having walking. And yeah, I mean, I can go outside and sit in the back. It's just I have to brave those concrete steps, and they make me nervous. And going down is easier than going up them, as far as me walking on my knee. Something I could do, but I'm planning on waking up at like 4:30 and 5 in the morning. I'm not able to go to sleep, and I mean, I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning at the latest, and I'm almost awake 24 hours, man. That's not cool, and I'm full of dope too. So yeah, I don't know if I won't be able to. What'll happen probably is like I won't be able to stay awake throughout the day today because I'm drinking coffee now, but I'm not. I can't be drinking a lot of coffee with the heart thing. So yeah, fun and games. Hmm. I didn't get my 1,400 bucks yet. I don't know about you. Uh, what I did get is an aid worker that works like a maniac. That's like the one interesting thing that happened was, you know, you had this one woman that was a bit of a worker who's named Joanne. Just didn't like her, and I don't like people cleaning my house. But this woman I like, and I mean, I felt like an idiot. But the lighting was weird in here, and she had, the COVID mask on. She's just moving all over the damn place. It's like working like crazy. Do you want me to do this? What do you want me to do with that? Because I talked to her, and I said I just don't like people going through and rearranging all my stuff. So I was like, well, if you're gonna do that, I'm gonna have to sit and watch your work because I can't see what you're asking me about, and you just keep having to walk back here. So I set up a chair and was watching her work in the kitchen. She's on like her hands and knees, and I'm like, I don't know why she don't have knee pads on or something, but I'm like, you want me to get you a towel or something for your knees? She's like, nah. And she's like trying to scrub pieces of the floor, and she's like, I wish I had something to scrub the floor with. And I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on cleaning supplies. I got like a mop or something like that, and I don't want to. She don't really need to scrub the floor anyway. But I was like, I'm 53. How old are you, anyways? Because I know women. You're not supposed to ask women their age and stuff like that. But I don't really care. And I was like, just confused. And she was dressed like somebody would dress if they wanted to. I don't know, just go out shopping or something like that. She had on like these weird wooden shoes with heels like yay big, and was clomping all around and stuff. She went out in the hallway and carried out pieces of my electric bike, and she picked up like I don't know, it's got to weigh 30 pounds minimum, but she picked up like this battery pack, and she didn't know how heavy it was because it's lead acid batteries to that bicycle thing. She's like, whoa, that's heavier than I expected. I'm like, yeah, but she's moving like real fast and stuff. So I'm like, how old are you? And she goes, oh, oh boy, and she's like, I'm like, well, you don't have to tell me. I know you're not supposed to ask women things like that or whatever. She stands up all dramatically and says, how old do you think I am? I'm like, well, I made this mess, so okay, we'll shoot low, because I was thinking, I don't know, my age or thereabouts. So I said, I don't know, 40s. She's like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I screwed up my own story, of course. I said, I can't see without your mask on. So she pulled her mask down so I could get a look at her, but it was in like really dim lighting, or I would have said 50s. She's 68, man. She's almost 70 years old, working like a damn maniac. Like, 70, almost 70 years old, 68, and she's on her hands and knees on the floor and don't want nothing for her knees. Okay, when I used to like scrub floors and shit, I would put a towel down for my knees in my 20s. So I don't know what the hell to think. But I guess she's gonna be my um, aid worker maybe for a while here. I don't think I can stop her from cleaning my house. Let's put it that way. And you could tell I told her about the other aid workers and the various situations, and she's like, "Man, this stuff, kind of stuff makes me really angry." And she was like, "You should have got that big girl fired." And she was telling me other stories. She says, "Don't tell nobody I said this." She started talking about her coworkers and stuff. And I'm like, "Yeah, your agency has some real winners, but she had a whole bunch of work, man." And she broke the rules because they're not allowed to climb up on anything. No ladders, no step ladders or anything like that. And I wasn't too cool, frankly, because I just got like a little narrow two step ladder thing. But I wanted to put these blinds in my window, and I asked if she would do it. And without hesitation, she's like, "Yeah." So I bought the wrong set of blinds. She's like, "You got a screwdriver?" And I hobble over there on my troubled leg and get this toolkit, get a screwdriver out. She takes out something, and she's like, "You got to take these pieces out if you want to mount this." And there's brackets, and I'm like, "I don't have like a power screwdriver thing, like with it. I don't have a power screwdriver or anything like that." And I'm like, "You'd have to put whole new screws in the wood." She seemed like she was game to do it. I'm like, "Man, just skip that." I'm like, "I'll just buy the right thing. I'm used to throwing away money. I only paid $11 for those blinds." I don't have any blinds on one of my windows now in the living room. Um, I was shopping around. I'm like, blinds are really freaking expensive. I don't want to buy the wrong one. Again, I don't know what those things are called, but they sit inside the window and they're like, I don't know. This is down floss. They're like a square like that, and then you slide the top of the blind into it. It's usually like an open side that you slide this in here, and you put it in the closed side first. I don't know. Anyways, point being is I don't know what, I mean, I did some research online, but I don't know what those kind of blinds are called. I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, I'm not wasting any more money on blinds. I mean, I guess I could send her what I used to do when I did such things is go into Lowe's or wherever and be like, "Hey, I need blinds that fit this," and have her take the part in. But that didn't get done. But she was up there like on a step ladder, and then she had them funky, weird wooden heeled shoes on. This is 68-year-old woman, and I'm 2 years madder to somebody her age, I guess. But basically a 7-year-old woman. She's like standing on a step ladder, like I'm sitting in a chair underneath her, and she's like got her one leg up on the windowsill and one leg on the thing like that. And I'm like, she ain't even breathing that heavy. And I told her, man, I'd be proud of my age if I was in that kind of shape. But once she got out of that lighting, I was like, yeah, that's an older person. But in that lighting, I couldn't tell in the way she was moving. You know, I mean, it's moving like a 40-year-old. I'm putting them other workers that are younger to shame, but there's really no. I think the youngest worker is the 300-pounder at that agency. As far as like activity level, she puts all of them to shame. But I'm gonna have. I guess I'm gonna have to break down. And she's like, we're gonna do this one room at a time. Like we did this area here, and next time I come, we'll do like another room because it does that stuff like really thoroughly. I'm like, don't clean inside the oven. I never use the oven for anything. He's like, "You got any oven cleaner?" She's like, "We're gonna have to buy some oven cleaner." And I'm like, "Well, there should be some underneath there." And she's like, "This is too old. It's like rusted, and I can't get it to work." And I'm like, well, you don't need to really clean the oven anyway. I use like one burner on the oven, but she's like determined to clean everything. And, and she's like, oh, that looks better. She rearranged the scooters that I had. I got those two scooters next to each other in the living room that really should be parked at my brother's house, and I should be learning how to ride the fast one in my brother's neighborhood, but that never materialized, and now I can't really walk. Um, I thought I broke it because you have to charge the battery up like periodically. You have to be careful how you treat the battery. You can't run the battery all the way down. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to leave it like charged in when it's already charging. You just have to take care of the battery. But I haven't messed with it due to depression for like months. So I had it charging for like 30 hours, and it has a red light that's supposed to turn green when it's charged. And I'm like, it's not turning green. It's never going to turn green. I mean, what the hell? I unplugged it. It was cool yesterday. I plugged it back in, and it turned green like it was supposed to. So, I mean, I only paid like $600 for that scooter, but it's worth between $2,000 and $2,500. The other one is worth a couple grand. The one that I don't like, that has no shocks and it has four wheels, and that I got through the rapist doctor. Uh, you know, you can. I didn't pay for that one. The other one I paid like $600 for, and just got a steal off of it. And the guy delivered it on top of it for an extra $60. So he's the one to get rid of it. He was just some rich dude that wanted to get rid of it, you know. But anyways, another interesting part of her visit, which she got like there half an hour early, and she worked for like 2.5 hours. I should say 2 hours, because the other half hour we talked about this massive memorabilia, mostly sports card collection she had, because she noticed I had sports cards. And she was like, "You collect baseball cards?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so." And she's like, "Well, I got this collection. I forget who she said died and left it to her." But I'm like, "How much is it? How many cards are we talking?" She go, "I got no idea." And she was saying she had like a Wayne Gretzky signed jersey in there, and but it's not authenticated or whatever like that. But she put it in the classifieds in the newspaper, not on the computer, but just was trying to sell it locally, and somebody offered her $800 for it, and she turned them down because she's like, "I don't want to get ripped off," because I asked her, "Do you want to like just get rid of the cards, like a dump auction?" And I'm like, she's like, "No, I don't want to get ripped off or anything like that." I was trying to say, like, a lot of people, like the people that sold this building, they were just like, "We're in South Carolina. Some relative died and left this building to us. It's like, just get rid of it." They didn't care what they got for it. They put it up for auction immediately. You know, they didn't try to maximize whatever they got for it. In other words, they just wanted to get rid of it. I asked her if she just wanted to get rid of her cards. No, I'd like to sell them intelligently. And she said, "Well, there's just like a whole bunch. That one guy, I don't know, that one basketball player," and I just picked LeBron James. And she goes, "Yeah, LeBron James." And I'm like, "Why don't you bring his cards over here and I'll look them up for you?" And she looked at me like I was crazy. And she said, "Man, if I lined up those cards, they would cover one end of your room all the way to the other end of your room." And I'm like, "Well, let's look on the computer then." She went. I sent her to the bank to get money in case this guy don't want the apartment upstairs. So while she's at the bank, I was like looking around on the computer, and I was going to show her how to look up cards on eBay, because I don't know how computer, you know, anybody can do that kind of stuff. Anybody can do the basics with a computer. I'm not really that good with a computer, but I don't know. Some people, maybe somebody 68 years old is not using a computer if she's talking about using the classifieds for the Gretzky jersey. So I was like, "Here's what you do," and I had a little football card, and I'm like, "You write in the guy's name on eBay, and then you Look for the card name, and you type in the card name, and then you put in the number. You'll have a number on the back, and then you can find out what stuff's going for. So I'm like, let's do it now with instead of this card that I got, let's do it with LeBron James. Put in LeBron James, and it just automatically popped up his rookie year. And I found a Topps Chrome card that was on auction. It had 3 days left on the auction. It was up to $938. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you could be sitting on a gold mine, because this is the Cleveland area, and we knew about LeBron James because he played for Akron St. Vincent High School. We knew about him before y'all did. You know, he became a big deal in high school, but he was making waves here. And then, the national media jumped on it. So, but yeah, I mean, Akron, the place he played high school at, it's like 40 miles from where I live, tops. I forget. It's like Akron's like halfway between Canton, where I used to live, and Cleveland. It's a little bit more than halfway, and going to Cleveland's like used to be 60 to 70 miles. So you're talking 30, 35 miles away from here. This LeBron James was playing as a kid. So maybe that guy jumped on the bandwagon early, and a lot of people that collect cards, they're rookie centric. I'm that way. Matter of fact, I make it a point of whenever I sell cards to put rookie in the search bar, so that I don't really mess with anything else but rookie. So she could be sitting on 30 grand. We'll find out tomorrow. Problem is, she comes like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I gotta make sure that I get some sleep, and that this neck thing is over with, you know. But she said she's gonna bring a shoebox. I'm obviously fucking out of it, but she's gonna bring a shoebox full of them. I said, man, you don't have to bring all of them. Just pick some out. And I tried to explain to her what a graded card was, and she's like, most of them look like what you got there, which is just, a regular card. I'm like, if you have a graded card, it's going to be worth a lot of money. And I was trying to explain some of the ins and outs of it to her, but, she didn't know anything about it. But she could be sitting on 30 grand. Don't really know. You know, it's like, I was like the Baker Mayfield guy. Like, I bought a bunch of his cards as soon as like he started to show promise. I mean, actually bought cards of his that were in a lot before he even played. People that are really into it, they'll like follow a guy from college. They would follow him from his like Oklahoma days. But this guy apparently was a maniac as far as collecting things. It can become really addictive. It's like I'm kind of out of the habit, but I was blowing a lot of money on cards because you can always lie to yourself and say, I'm just going to sell these later. It's like, you're not going to, it's not like blowing money on something else. You can get your money back. I mean, if you sell at the right time, that is. Or you can make money. Also, I bought that one card for $27. I made $100 on it, sold it for $127. All I had to do was hold on to it for a year. Just worked out that way. So, it's really easy. It's really like addictive because it's not like it's not the same as just blowing money on dinners, going out to eat and stuff. So this guy was apparently a maniac because she has a Wheaties box, but she didn't say who was on the Wheaties box. But she was like, the Wheaties probably no good to eat anymore. I'm like, that's kind of not the point, but it's a Wheaties box with an athlete on it and the athlete's signature. And then we're talking about certificates of authenticity, and she had already done enough work that day, but I was like, I'm taking up too much of your time. Yeah, she's gonna be my new aid worker, I guess, steady for a while. Which is cool, I guess. Problem is, it's like, she's gonna clean this place up fast, and I'm not gonna have anything for her to do. And I don't know what You know, I don't. You can sit here and I guess they're allowed to actually sit and keep people company, so I can like. He doesn't done all the work. I don't. I can barely walk. I'm not making a lot of messes. She cleaned a bunch of stuff that didn't need clean, frankly. And like it's like I got one plate, one cup. I need to get two cups, but I got just my coffee mug. I need like a cold beverage cup, and I don't have any dishes to wash. And she was like taking a broom and knocking down the spider webs because it looked like an abandoned building out there. And I'm like, I just walk in this room, and she laughed because I said, I only own one quarter of the apartment. The cat owns the other three quarters. I mean, I don't really live in this area here. And she was like, got to get them spider webs down, get the cobwebs out of the corners and stuff. Um, yeah, this last few days has been really rough with the bad neck, and it's like, okay, now I gotta lay flat. The first day, especially, I just laid flat. I shouldn't even be propped up like I am now. And I got a heating pad here somewhere, but I think it's behind the bed, which is kind of like the Bermuda Triangle, turning into Barbara Walters because of my teeth. It's kind of like the Bermuda Triangle back there. It's like I lost a box cutter. I only got one box cutter back there. I tried to find it, but whatever goes back there, I'm not likely to get it back. Oh, I found another bottle of. I was cleaning up a little bit yesterday because I just get tired of not doing anything. So I was like doing a little bit of cleaning before I went to bed, which might have put me in pain. I don't know, but I found another bottle of metoprolol, so I got like massive supplies of all the heart medicines I would need now. So I have 100. I have um 4 months supply of metoprolol and 4.5 months supply of blood thinner. So I don't have to worry about that. So that was cool finding that bottle of metoprolol because I used to not take it. What is not cool is that I'm taking more of these pills than I used to take because, as you'll remember, I used to not take, I would still get the prescriptions, but I used to not take the gabapentin for pain because I didn't like the way it made me a little bit dizzy. I think I fell a couple of times because of it. And of course, now they're dear to me. And I used to not take any of my blood pressure pills, so that's why I got like a bottle that I just randomly found. Um, which reminds me, I have to check CVS. I'm sure that her name's something like Marga Wittensberg or something like that. But this doctor that was like one of the most beautiful doctors that I ever had. She was like um, looked like a mix of Hawaiian, Asian, and Hispanic. She was like super exotic looking and youngish. I don't know how old she was. But anyways, I only saw her twice, and I haven't seen her forever. Her name's on the bottle, and as I told you, when I had this new aid worker give them the bottle, they were like, "We're gonna have to contact your doctor," and I'm like, "Well, that's a no." I was hoping I could slide one in on them, be like they just fill it without, because it says right on the bottle, so many two refills by 4/20/21. So I thought I could get two refills out of it, but I have two full bottles of the metoprolol stuff here because my leg's been hurting so bad that my heart rate goes up to around 100 anytime I'm walking on it because of the pain. Doesn't even have to do with exertion. And I haven't really had any anxiety type things where I'm laying in bed and my pulse is spiking because of anxiety. I'm just in a lot of pain the last couple days. And I got the neck thing, and I just, anybody would go crazy. I still got, unfortunately, a lot of life left in me, and I'm just kind of trapped in in this, body. So anybody goes crazy, you're just laying there, and you're like, Okay, what do I do? And then you're putting off walking because your leg hurts. And just it's just bad news. And it's depressing when I mean, it takes a lot of effort just to try to get medical help, and then when you get rejected on top of it, or they don't do anything for you, or they injure you, or all the experiences I've had with the medical community, it makes you not want to do anything about it because it hasn't worked out at all for me, and I've been dealing with a bad knee now for close to 6 years. So I've actually complained about my knee to doctors for 6 years, and all it's done is get steadily worse, and they've been less responsive to do anything about it. Worse it gets, the less they want to treat it. It's like if you went to the ER with a scratch and they were interested in it, and then you went in there with like a gaping, bleeding wound, and they were like, "Nah, man, you're gonna have to go see somebody else about that." And you got a towel on your arm, and you're just sitting, blood-soaked towel on your arm, and they're like, "No, go to some other ER and get that dealt with." Then you go to another ER, and you're losing more blood, and they're like, "No, no, no, we don't want to deal with you." And then you go try to go to another ER, and the security guard outside the ER doesn't even let you go in there. That's what it's been like trying to get my knee treated. And it's like it's to the point where I can't get past the phone call. I can't even get into an office to see an orthopedist. And I still have to put out the effort. Obviously, I was just thinking about this stuff. It's like this. I can't keep living like this. Something has to be done. I'm gonna go batshit crazy, get more depressed, or I need some sort of improvement of some kind. You got to write out things like this neck thing and other things, but the fact that I can't do anything is just gonna drive me fucking crazy. Um, I mean, last night I was like, well, I can do this or I can do that, and I was walking around here, and like that's how I found that bottle of pills. I was walking around here like picking things up in this room because I got a weird prideful thing. I'm laying here shirtless with my fat gut and my dirty belly and all that, but I got a weird pride thing about like people cleaning my house and shit. So I'm actually gonna pre-clean what I can before somebody that's paid to do it cleans. It's like brushing your teeth thoroughly before you go to the dentist. And when they're gonna clean your teeth professionally, I still do that too. I'm not going in there without brushing my teeth and using mouthwash and stuff, and doing a good job cleaning. It's just uh, I don't like people cleaning my house. Um, but yeah, last night was so horrible. It's like I know it's probably gonna be like it's probably gonna show up here like 9:30 in the morning tomorrow. Like blah, full on. I'm like, what were you like when you were 40? Because she's almost 70, acting like that. And she's like, oh, I was a whirlwind. I'm like, I bet. Good Lord. It's like, I don't understand the way people think because I'm a weirdo, but it's like if I was 68 in that kind of shape, I'd be bragging my ass off, man. I'd be like, yeah, I'm 68, you know, but it's not how people are, especially women. Unless she's in the market, and it's just habit because she had two husbands, I found out. And she obviously takes care of herself and whatnot, so maybe that's like, she's still looking. A lot of people do not like to be alone. Me, I don't like birds. Fuck you, birds. I mean, I don't like birds. I don't know how I could put up with anybody or anything. I'm so irritable and agitated all the time, and it's so easy for me to um, be offended or annoyed by something somebody said. Like I was like, I apologize, but I was rude to somebody on the internet talking about boxing because my favorite boxer died, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and at first there was he had the vaccine, and there was speculation that it was a vaccine thing, but the family denies it. But there's still no official cause of death. But he did get, I don't know what the names are to the vaccines, but he got the one kind of vaccine that starts out with an A, and like two days later he was dead, and he was 66 years old, and he didn't have slurred speech or any kind of problems from his boxing career. He was still mentally sharp, and he wasn't even fat. He wasn't skinny like he was when he was, he was ripped when he was a boxer. But he wasn't like, a lot of guys from all that deprivation, I guess, of following their diet, working out like 3, 4 hours a day. They just let themselves go once their boxing career is over and they get fat. But yeah, 66-year-old should not be dying. That's famous, and it's like I still don't know what killed him. And it's been almost a week. Still don't know what killed him. Or maybe I'll look and see if they've got an official cause of death put up yet. But anyways, yeah, I would. That's like my best friend is 67, and he's starting to feel his age, but yeah, he's still in really good shape. I was like, that means, like this woman never smoked, and I didn't ask her about, it's only the second time she was my aid worker. The other time I just wanted to get rid of her like the other ones. I was like sending her out of the house because of irritability. Because she was getting on my nerves. It's like, that's why I said, like, she obviously was taking care of herself and minding her appearance and whatnot. And so she could be in the market still, like, hoping to meet somebody or whatever. But, so maybe that's why your people are sensitive about their ages. I don't know how human beings are, so, you know. I'm not so concerned about the numbers. I'm concerned about the stats. I'm, yeah. I'm not concerned about. I guess that didn't make any sense at all. I'm not so concerned about that particular stat of age than the other stats. Like, how far have you walked? How far can you walk? What is your resting heart rate? How about stats is like you have 1,100 hairs when you used to have 100,000 hairs on top of your head. How about stats like 32 as opposed to 12? Those are the kind of stats I'm interested in. I could give a damn about, 68, 61, 53, or any of that. So I don't, that I don't understand. Maybe it's a mortality thing, but I'm not normal and I don't think like normal people, so kind of used to being confused by things and the way people act. So, but yeah, that's just. I know that once my older sister, she didn't take getting old very well at all, and it's like you didn't see that shit coming, you know. You think old was going to happen to somebody else and not you? You're going to be the exception to the rule. And I think my younger brother went great. Well, anybody in my family's had a hard life, so my younger brother lost his hair too, and he's only a couple of years younger than me, but he's got a lot of gray in his beard and stuff. He used to color it at first, and yeah, I'm not allowing my mind to go to various places right now. Self-censoring. I don't want to be too morbid about things, But yeah, the real joy is finding that first gray pube, man. That's where my brain was going. That's not a happy day for anybody. That's not a happy day for anybody, man. But yeah, I try to maintain polite conversation. Even I opened up with reports of the dam bursting, as far as like, oh, it's about time you started like having your sit downs there, son. And but yeah, I mean, if that stuff's not working, that's kind of important. So yeah, I got a bit of a sore throat too. But anyways, I haven't been on here for a few days, so I thought I'd stop in and chat, even though I'm a mess. And like I said, this sore neck thing really sucks. Um, Usually, man, when I have a sore neck for whatever reason, it's always the left that's the problem. And I used to get a sore neck, and I'd still have to ride a bicycle around the places. So looking behind me at traffic was a problem. I'd always have to make sure I didn't look over the wrong shoulder, but sometimes it would hurt to turn my neck either way, and I'd have to be like, oh shit, grip my teeth and to look behind you, because it's kind of important when riding a bicycle to do that. And I never really had the mirror thing working right. I mean, I bought them, but I could never get them mounted right to where you could just use a mirror to look behind you to see what car is coming up behind you if you have any traffic, or how careful you have to be. But yeah. So yeah, hopefully my pain level goes back down to a mild roar, and instead of the king of the jungle thing it's got going on now, because this is not good. What did Jim Morrison say? I'm lost in a Roman wilderness of pain. This is some bad shit right now. Yeah, I didn't. I took like I said, 2.5 pills yesterday. I'm supposed to take one pill a day, and it did nothing. And then like I was like, well, it's almost 5 o'clock in the morning. I took another half of Valium, and I guess I could have doubled up on the melatonin, but the melatonin wasn't working, and that's a pretty healthy dose of melatonin. But yeah, I'm not sure. Sometimes like laying around uh, will reduce the amount of pain I'm in. Um, but laying around drives me freaking crazy. It's like watching your life go by. I don't understand. You know, I never understood like lazy people, or people that wanted to watch TV, that could get out and do things. I mean, because I always been fucked up ever since I was 16 and had a spinal tumor. But before then, I lived in a small house. Uh, let's see, one, two, three, a three-bedroom house. It had 7 kids in it, and I had a mean ass father. I was outside all the time, man. I mean, and that was like back in the day. So my parents weren't too particular about me coming home after dark. So I was staying out at night after dark. I was not afraid of the dark. Uh, so I was staying out at night when I was like 10 years old, staying out after dark. Sometimes they would say stuff to me about it, like, you know what time of night it is? It depends what kind of mood my dad was in. But I always felt like he thought he had too many kids anyway, because we used to let us like ride standing up in the back of the truck. And my story about actually riding in the back of a truck when it had no back, which yeah, it had no bed to the truck. And he was like, all the groceries were piled inside the cab, and there wasn't no room for me, so he had me sit like on this little ridge. There's the cab. There was like a little ridge, and my feet were dangling over top of the road. And like a semi when it doesn't have a trailer on it. This was like a big F-350 truck or something like that. I don't remember. I just remember it was red. It's a big truck. Um, but yeah, my feet were, I don't know how old I was, but my feet were dangling over top of the road, and I could see like the pumpkin and the axle and everything going on. And yeah, that's a pretty vivid memory. But I made sure like that never happened again because I was actually scared. I was scared. I was like, this is not cool. And however young I was when that happened, I don't know how old I was. That's how long ago it was because, you remember something like that if you're like 13, 14. So I was a little kid, you know. That's just flat out child endangerment. There's no surviving if he has to make a quick stop and I'm hitting the road, but it's not, it's not like a boop stop. It's like he's going at a decent speed. Uh, yeah. So, anyways, so point being is we stay out all the time, and so I don't understand. I got a nephew that's lazy, or like I don't understand like lazy people that don't want to do stuff, or you know, I can understand like not wanting to work or not wanting to have a job or not wanting to do stuff where you have to do it, where it's like you don't want to get out of bed, but you have to get out of bed. Of course, I can understand that, but I used to love like heavy labor and stuff like that. But see, it's different when you can start when you want and you can quit when you want. Or like you don't feel that good that day, okay, you don't have to do it. Dragging your ass out of bed and going to work, that's a whole nother ballgame. So I understand that part of it. What I don't understand is like people that don't have jobs that don't want to do, it feels good to, I used to love it when I would go on them long fishing trips and ride like 10, 12 miles on a bicycle, fish, standing up for like 2 hours, then ride all the way home. You know how relaxed you feel when you're drained physically like that. You're just empty. That beautiful feeling of emptiness. I used to love that. Why is my arm sore? What the fuck is wrong with me? Yeah. Um, Not my arm is sore. Jesus. Yeah, I used to. I, like like my dad had me shoveling gravel. I think I got paid $10 for shoveling like a whole truckload of gravel with a coal shovel. I would have done it for free. Like I love chopping wood, man. Swinging the axe, I love swinging the axe, and like that kind of shit. Um, I didn't mind cutting grass. I wasn't a big fan of cutting grass because lawnmowers are fucking loud, and then the grass blows back on you, and you know all that grass juice flying around in the air. I don't like, I'm not one of the guys that loves the smell of grass. So even though that was my first paying gig of any kind, was cutting this guy's ridiculous lawn. You could not see his nearest next door neighbor. I don't know how much grass I was cutting, but it was a lot. It was so much that he had a self propelled mower, and it was still work. I couldn't imagine doing that with an ordinary lawnmower. Man, what that would feel like. He had like a barn too that needed mucked and cleaned, and I was spared that, but that was not a job that I would have enjoyed. Mucking a barn, cleaning out the shit. Mm, no, that was out in the country. That was that one guy I think I told you about. That was actually he actually had like oil on his land, but he only let him put up one derrick because he didn't want to spoil the look of his land. And it's like, okay, you don't want to be filthy rich. That guy didn't make no sense because he was real miserly to the point that when he died, he didn't spend no money. When he died, his wife went through the house and found money everywhere, all through the goddamn house. I'm talking about like hid underneath the oatmeal, like what I used to do with my Xanax. Like just hid in random places, I think even a place in the wall. there was money hid all over the house. Like if the house burned down, the amount of money in the house was probably worth more than the house. So, and he never let her go anywhere or anything like that. Uh, she decided to mourn his passing by going on a transatlantic cruise. She took a cruise. She was like, I had to live with that motherfucker, kept me in a house for 20, 30 years. She's like, I'm going on a cruise. And blew a whole bunch of that money. But that guy had oil on his property, but he only allowed him to um, put up one derrick in one part of it. But there was more oil, according to my dad, on other parts of his property. But that guy was a fucking wacko, and he was a sadist too. He used to beat the shit out of dogs, man. Or he'd get pissed at a dog and just shoot it. Just like, I'm tired of you. Bang. Just throw a dog away like it was a empty styrofoam cup. So he was a nut job. His name was Merle. And I remember he had emphysema and was spitting all the time when I was working with him, and had like respiratory issues from being a heavy smoker. And I don't know what ended up killing him, but me and my dad used to go out there when I was a kid and visit him all the time. But yeah, he was actually, could have been, I don't understand that at all, but my dad's not here to ask about it, to clarify it for details. Uh, but I remember him telling me that, because I was like, well, the guy's a miser, but he was miserly with his land, is what I think it was. He's like, y'all ain't fucking with my land or my money, but I'll let you put up one derrick because I like some money. But you can't fuck with the rest of my land, because he had all this land out in the country. And it's really weird that, Ohio is not known for its oil production. We're not Texas. Like I said about that one guy that, the other Steve, they used to call him. The other Steve was one of those worthless, lazy sons of bitches. The only thing he was good at was running his mouth. He puts me to shame as a talker. He, good Lord. I'm not talking about necessarily skill, interest, or dexterity. I'm talking about volume. So this guy he pissed me off. And he should have pissed everybody else off that knew him, because he had a relative in Texas that was oil rich. And this guy was on disability. He didn't have, he was on disability for seizures, I think. Yeah, seizures. And that's why he used to ride a bike all the time, because he couldn't trust himself to drive in a car because he might have a seizure. But anyway, this dude actually bragged about being in the Canton high rises, peeping at women through their windows with a telescope. Like, that's a normal behavior. Like, that's something to be proud of. He's like, yeah, oh yeah, I got my telescope set up, man. I could see like in every window in almost the whole damn city of Canton. I'm like, all right, Mr. Pervert, I'm glad it's good to take pride in your work, I guess, but okay. I don't know if I'd be telling people that shit. It's your peeping Tom, but okay. Anyways, this guy hit it rich and moved to Texas, and he was so dysfunctional that he was having his first royalty checks, because he started getting royalty checks before he just went ahead and moved down to Texas. But his first royalty check, I don't remember how much it was for, but he couldn't cash it because he didn't have a bank account. So he had my brother-in-law cash it, and I'm like, how much did you get out of it? And he's like, nothing. I'm like, what are you, an idiot? And, he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, that guy didn't kick you back any money. He's like, you're cashing like a $5,000 check for a guy, and because you have an account and he doesn't, like, you're a legitimate citizen and he's not. Like, and the guy don't give you no money out of it. And he's like, no, I wouldn't take no money for that. I'm like, and the guy was buying like all kind of pointless shit for himself. He bought like a $3,000 massage chair. Then he ended up just leaving here and bought a gigantic, he went like the nouveau riche. He went like just just bought a whole bunch of stuff with this money that he was getting, because he was getting like bi-weekly royalty checks. I think I want to say $5,000. But I mean, it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. It's like, in other words, he's suddenly goes from like no figures to six figures a year, money wise, and it all depended on like the yield of the land at the time. So that's why I probably don't remember any exact numbers, because I think I was talking to my brother-in-law about it, and he's like, well, he gets a certain amount, but it's contingent upon how much oil they sell or how much is pulled out of the land. I think his uncle left it to him or something. Uncle or grand, so it doesn't really matter who left it. Somebody in the family was fucking rich and was Jed Clampett and left him all this oil. That's all that matters to the story. And the way he was, though, it just made me angry and make me want to beat him up, because like all the people that put up with his annoying, ridiculous ass, he did not spread the wealth at all. It's like my sister and my brother-in-law put up with that motherfucker, and like he'd come over there all the time, and my sister would be like, I'm so tired of Steve. She got tired of this Steve too, but I mean, she really got tired of that Steve. And she's like, I'm just so tired of this guy. It's like at some point, I'm just gonna have to say uh, to my brother-in-law. I don't know if I've ever told you his street name, but I shouldn't. Got a funny street name, but anyways, he's like, I'm just gonna have to be like ban this guy. I was like, I don't want to see this guy no more. She's like, I'm just gonna have to pull rank. I can't take it no more. But they continued to put up with him, and he was a lonely dude, lived alone, didn't have nobody. But it's like, good lord, it's like it would be like a rich athlete coming up and not taking care of his family. Like they supported him when he had nothing, when he was working his way up, playing basketball in high school, and you know they helped him buy clothes for the prom, and he kicked him money here and gave him little odd jobs there, and then he gets that first contract. Suddenly he forgets all the little people that propped him up. So that you know he didn't owe me a damn thing. But I mean, morally he owed my sister and my brother a whole lot. He didn't do nothing for him. It's like he should have at least offered, like, here's $1,000 out of my first check. You know, he should have offered, like, I don't even know. I think my brother-in-law might have helped him set up an account, but he didn't even have like a bank account. He was cashing. He was getting his checks, his Social Security checks, in the mail and going to one of those, cashing them at like a grocery store. You used to be able to do that, or later on they had those check cashing places. Um, but he was a real dysfunctional dude, uh, smoking them home rolled cigarettes. Now he's probably sitting somewhere smoking cigarettes that are really long and got the tips on the end, like the rich Monopoly guy. But yeah, the good Lord smiles on the just and the unjust. Or is it rain that falls on the just and the unjust? Let's just say good things and bad things happen to good and bad people. And there ain't no rhyme or reason to it. So, but yeah, I should do a better. I should do a better job of remembering these stories, because some of them are actually pretty interesting. But the things that make a story are usually the details, and I do get fuzzy on the details. Like, how much exactly were the royalty checks? I knew they were like, they were like the stuff of poor people's wet dreams. What kind of? It's literally a wet dream to, like, wait a minute, my rich grandfather, uncle slash father slash relative, whoever the hell he was, just left me the land rights to oil wells, and now I'm gonna have to do nothing, which I really love doing nothing and sitting on my ass. I love it so much, I'm going to buy a $3,000 chair to sit on my ass with. I can sit on my ass and collect money and do nothing. You know, that's a wet dream right there, man. Like, yeah, that's like, I used to think about that stuff sometimes because, you know, every poor person's had that fantasy about walking around and finding a bag of money when you're a kid. Or like, I got my one story where I'm like on a bicycle. My poor ass is on a bicycle and I'm riding home and I'm blinking my eyes looking and I'm like, there's a big pile of money just on the side of the road. It actually, I'm like, I've been dreaming about this moment for 20 years, you know. And I didn't even like ride up to the money. I like jumped off the bicycle, threw the bicycle down, literally threw the bicycle down away from the road because it's a fairly populated road, and ran up to where all the bills were in a pile. And I just start grabbing all this money and stuffing it in my pockets, you know. And I'm like, you know, that's a bad neighborhood. I'm like, now is not the time to count this. We will count this shit later. So, you know, I stuff all this money in my pockets and I'm all excited and stuff. And I think I turned around and I went back to my sister and my brother in law's house because I was all excited. It was dark outside. So that's why details are important to a story because it's important to know that this was at night and I didn't know if those were 20s, 50s, C notes, or what they turned out to be, all ones. So, you know, 18, if you take 18 bills and you throw them down on the floor, 18 bills can cover a lot of ground. It looks like a lot of money. So I don't know how many bills there are that I'm grabbing. I don't, it's like the dude in the swirling, you know, phone booth full of money just grabbing shit. I don't know what I'm grabbing. All I know is I'm grabbing money. It was fun. You know, until I got back, you know, I didn't know how much I had in my pockets. I had a sweatshirt on, and it had pockets on the side. I was just stuffed full of money. I'm like all excited and shit. And I'm like, "Hey man," and I'll go back. I'm like, "Hey man, I just found a whole bunch of money, man. It was just lying on the side of the road. It was right by the Majority's drive-through. There was even people walking up towards it and shit. But I got there first, man. I crammed all that shit in my pocket in about 2 seconds, and I'm like, I pulled all the crumpled bills out, and they were all ones. It's like, oh man, a damn stripper got jacked. That's all I could think of. It's like 18. Why are 18 ones just lying there beside the road, like spread out? Like did like a stripper just like lose her mind? Like, man, I hate my fucking job, man. It's degrading. Just throw all her ones out the window. What the hell? What the hell happened? I'll never know. But yeah, everybody dreams about finding money. My finding money story is like I got to buy 2 pizzas. I'm like, there couldn't be a five. Just a five. I would have been happy if there was just a five. It's like almost a practical joke to 18 ones. But if you ever have like 18 bills, man, just drop it somewhere. It looks like a lot of money, especially if it's at night in under the, you know, in the, not directly under a street light, and all you see is a bunch of greenbacks spread out. 18 greenbacks. It looks like a whole pile of money. And yeah, so I was actually, people always do this shit, but I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I actually said it can't be one five in there. All I was asking for was a five, maybe a 10 would have been nice. Just, you know, they're all ones, and somebody, of course, has to pop up and say, at least you got $18. You know, it's like people always do that shit. You're missing the point. The point is like that was a serious, speaking of strippers, cock tease, because that is like fantasy I had for years, just to find a bag of money or to find a whole bunch of money. You know, I used to think about that shit. Like, what would I do? Because I used to live in drug infested neighborhoods. I'd be like, what would I do if I found like a drug money that somebody had to discard? Because I found money before. I was walking with my nephew where somebody had a 20 and a 5 and a bag of weed in their pocket, and they was getting chased by the police. and they just threw both of them out of their pocket. There was a baggie of weed, and there was a 20 and a 5. And I remember my sister was like, my nephew was small, so I was like, he was small and quick, so he got to the money first. I was like, hey man, look, I made the mistake of just, not thinking and pointing it out. His small, little, quick, poor food stamp ass goes running over there and grabs the money before I can get it. And I found the bag of weed, and I'm like, keeping this here weed. And then he had the money, and then I got him back home to my sister, and my sister was like, you got to give half that money. And I'm like, no, I don't want it. He found it fair and square. And she was like, well, he don't get to get it just because he's young, shorter, and faster than you. And I'm like, I don't care. I was like, he found it. That's a big deal to a kid, man. And I was like, why are you trying to ruin this kid's day, man? He found $25 out of 2 bills. I found $18 out of 18 bills. That's not cool. But yeah, it's like, let the kid have a little fun, man. While he's ripping off pieces of paper towels and being that poor. It was like food stamp poor, like to the point where the taxable items, like I said, tearing off, that's how you know you're poor. Tearing off a piece of a paper towel to fit whatever it is you got to clean up. You're conserving your paper towels because food stamps don't pay for paper towels. There's also pickle juice pour. I don't know if you know about pickle juice pour, but that's when you save the juice after the pickles are gone. And, if you're lucky enough to get something to put between 2 pieces of bread and you like pickles, you can like stick your fingers in the pickle juice if you're a nasty person and sprinkle it on there. Or you can take a spoon, which is stupid. It's not, don't make any sense at all. And try to spoon pickle juice so you get a little pickle flavor. That's pickle juice pour. So, yeah, I like that expression. So, yeah. There's water in the ketchup pour. There's tearing paper towels pour. There's pickle juice pour. And that's all the ones I can think of right now. There's others. But, yeah. Um, yeah, let the kid have some fun, man. He's not going to have another day like that. You gonna snatch his money away? Other parents would have been like, dude, I'm confiscating this because you looked at me sideways last week. You don't deserve this money. There were other people that poor, so I guess she wasn't that bad. She didn't take it for herself. She was just gonna, split it between me and my nephew. She could be like, yeah, he can keep it. And then after I left, be like, yeah, I'm bigger and stronger than you, and I'm taking that money. Yeah. I mean, their house was like full of like stuff from Goodwill because uh, once they once my brother-in-law got a job at Goodwill, he would just bring home stuff from Goodwill and try to fix it because he was like he went to Stark Tech for a while, and he was like knew his way around a circuit board and stuff. So he had like a workshop in the basement, and he was always trying to fix stuff, broken stuff that was at Goodwill, and he would get in trouble for it because Goodwill had a policy where they would just throw shit out. And he was like, why are they throwing this stuff out? They don't even test it to know if it works or not. They just throw it out. So he'd always get offended that they would be throwing stuff out. And he was breaking the company policy because once you throw something out, the employees weren't allowed to salvage stuff. And once he got a job driving truck, he wanted to quit that job anyway, but he had some savings build up after a while. I forget why. But anyways, they were not so poor after a while when he had some money built up, and he quit Goodwill specifically because he hated the people there and he hated the wastefulness of the operation. It occurs to me that I hadn't taken my glasses off for this whole video. That's rude. Oh, and I gotta probably take that and put it in the blindless window in the living room. Once I start, my neck straightens around, I start sitting in the living room. Try sitting up, but yeah, I do get garrulous when I don't get some sleep. I talk even more and make even less sense. But yeah, details do make the story. You know, if you don't remember the details, or the habit I have is I'm aware that details make the story, and I train write my own stories by searching around for the correct information because I do not like to put out false information. Like, the story that I had, cousin that I talked to yesterday that's sick, he's the guy that shot the plane with the rifle. I just said it was a rifle. It was a 30-30. You know, we had talked about it. It was a 30-30. So he had like a sling tied to it. So he put the sling over his shoulder. These are all important details, but when I told that story, I just said he climbed up there with the rifle because I didn't want to slow my flow. So a lot of times I'll train wreck my own stories by getting obsessed with the details. Like, was it the grandfather? Was it the uncle? Was it the sister? Was it a brother? Who the hell left that guy all that fucking oil? That wastrel, that shiftless, ne'er-do-well wastrel of a human being, uh, just gave this guy all this money. I wonder what he did with it. If he liked to smoke a lot of weed. I don't know if he liked the other drugs, or if he spent it on whores and booze. Basically, loose living, or what he did with that money. I know he didn't give it away. He spent it in his own damn self. But yeah, he smoked. He used to get this weed from this guy in Bolivar. There's this town in Ohio called Bolivar. And this guy was like a master chemist. I mean, good weed is like everywhere nowadays, but this is, I don't know, 15 years ago or something like that. But I smoked this weed, and it's like I got cotton mouth so bad. It was the gorilla cotton mouth, You look like a gorilla. And I'm like, I know that there's delicious cold soda in the refrigerator, but too far. I'm like, I honestly don't know if I can get up and walk that far and not fall over because, man, my head was spinning. I was in some other, yeah, that was like a whole different kind of marijuana. And this guy grew it for himself, and he would only sell it to people. Like, he would not sell it to people, referred clients, only people that he knew, because he wasn't going to jail for it. This is like 15 years ago. So for me to get it, I would have had to go through my brother-in-law, who would have had to go through this guy, and the oil baron guy, and he would have. I I asked my brother-in-law about it. I'm like, can I get some more of that weed? And he's like, I don't know, man. We could try, because he smoked weed, but he didn't smoke that much weed. He was like, he just liked to get a little bit of a buzz. He didn't like to get really high or anything like that. So he liked to get a little bit of a buzz going, and then uh, do his projects, work on his electronic goodwill, throwing in the trash items. So he's like, I think what I'd have to do is I'd have to ask him about it. I don't know if he'd say yes, and I'd have to stay in the truck. You couldn't come for sure. You couldn't come. You'd have to give me the money, and then I'd have to talk to him, and then we'd have to pretend like it was only him that was going there. I don't even think I could sit in the truck while he went in there. He don't drive, and we're like working out the logistics of it like it was some kind of NASA rocket launch or something like that. And I'm like, just forget it. I'll go back to smoking commercial, dude. Hell with it. I don't know what that shit was, but it's just as well. I don't know how much like smoking weed and smoking tobacco contributed to my ruin. I just know I was high in the ambulance twice. So, and that's a buzzkill. It's being high in an ambulance. Uh, so I don't know how much that contributed to the progression of this disease. Yeah. I know one thing, man. If you're a dude and the dick fairy comes and takes 2 inches off of your dick, and you realize that shit like all at once, that's a hard thing for a man to take. Because I don't know if there are dick fairies. I don't know. Fairies used to be a term for like homosexuals. That would make sense if a homosexual came and robbed dicks, but that was like a shock because I wasn't really paying attention. And then I like noticed, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's a substantial difference. That was very uncool. And it was like it happened overnight. Like I said, like the dick fairy came and robbed me. It was like, I was thinking about that the other day. It's like, I took that a little bit better than boldness because all I care about, like, I'll probably be more mad about it if my leg was better and I could walk and I wasn't in extreme pain. To me, right now, that's just another thing, but it's still tough to take. It's a tough thing to take. It's like, are you serious? Because that's why I think, like, the CRPS is, like, advancing upward. Because, like, you know, legs are getting worse, and then the problems with my stomach and digestion are getting worse, and I got like discoloration on my stomach that I didn't used to have. So I think CRPS caused that. I don't know, but it wasn't like it's. I don't know what that would be. If what that would be comparable to if like you don't weigh yourself and you realize suddenly that your clothes don't fit, that you've gained 15 pounds, except for it's you're doing the paint shaker routine, and you realize like, wait a minute, there's a lot less paint here than what I used to shake. It's like I don't know how that all happened. I just know it's a fact because I don't care what anybody says about anything. A guy knows what he's backing. That's just the way we are. I don't give a fuck what any bullshit anybody tells you about that. Like, it's not that important to a lot of women. There's size queens out there and shit, but it's important to every guy. You know, just like people will tell you, I don't mind going bald. Bullshit. Bullshit. I don't mind losing 2 inches off my dick. Bullshit. I don't. I was never really concerned with the size of my penis. Bullshit. It's all a bunch of nonsense. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with other people if you can get away with it. Honesty is not always the best policy, but you know, I was trying. That's one thing. I was like, man, when I was talking to my cousin, I was like, I talked about this shit before. That poor guy is sick and listening to boring shit. It's like that poor guy. That's why I felt guilty when I got off the phone with him because he's like, I'm like, did you do your laundry yet? And he says, no, I was planning on taking a nap and then doing my laundry because he has like a routine on Sunday. I know when to call him and when he does his laundry and stuff. I usually call him on Sundays. I was like, he didn't do his laundry yet. He must really be sick. And I was like, well, that's when I offered to get off the phone. He goes, yeah, I want to take a nap and then I'll do my laundry. It's like, and you got to take a nap to do your laundry when you got washing machines and a dryer. If you're too sick to do laundry, that's not exactly a taxing household chore. Maybe the folding up of the clothes, but I'm not big on folding up clothes anyway. But and I don't have a lot of clothes when I used to do laundry with the machines, so it was never a big deal to me. But anyways, yeah, I was talking to him about the whole food stamp thing again and how I don't understand it. I checked my food stamps and I got $1,432 on it. I was just seeing if they put the next installment of 200 on it that's not going to be spent. I'm like, I was explaining to him how like I can't talk to that person. I'm like, you don't understand. I can't talk to him. You know, it's like I was talking about um their basic. Oh, I was talking about that one event that happened, and this happened for no reason, none at all, except for that women want to fight like men sometimes too. That's why this happened. But this person, I'm in the passenger seat, minding my own business, being a passenger because I can't drive. It's winter time, and this person is in their house doing whatever. Their door's open, and their car door, they got like a long car door, and it's swung across this small little road that led to this apartment building. So she stops because she's like, this stupid person blocking the damn road with their car door. Why ain't they closing their car door? And I'm like, just drive around, man. People are stupid. And she's like, no. She just starts hammering on the horn and hammering on the horn. And this scary looking woman comes out the house and it's like, what the hell do you want? And she's like, why don't you close your door, man? You're blocking the damn road. And I'm like, meanwhile, like, there is more road over here. We could be driving, we could be going away right now. But she wasn't hearing none of that. And she's like, what the hell do you care, man? She probably said drive around. I don't remember what she said, but it escalated. And I'm like, please don't get out of the car. And there's snow everywhere. That's the only thing that saved it from being a woman fight. Now, I don't want to break up no women fight. You know, I don't want to get, I'm liable to get hurt. It's like, yeah, if women fight dirty, man, I'm liable to get hurt bad. I mean, especially them two women was scary. Like, so, they have their little shot match, or whatever, and then she does what she should have done in the first place and calls her a bitch and like drives around the, I'm not saying she should call her a bitch, but she drives around, goes out of her way and drives around the open corridor. And our apartment's like right down there, but there's this whole gigantic field of snow, and this other woman is going off, yelling, and we're out there in the cold in front of the apartment building. And the person I'm with is yelling, and everybody's yelling and yelling. I got a really loud voice, and I was like, the shit is over now. It's fucking freeze down. Get in your house. And I yelled so loud, I guess it broke them up like throwing water on dogs or something like that, you know. But I was just thinking, thank God for all that snow, because there's like 16 to 2 feet of snow on the ground to slog through. But I don't know how long. It was at least a football field of snow they would have had this, that was separating them, or they would have been at each other's throats. And I'm like, this is so stupid. It's like, why is this even happening? But that is the person that has my food stamp card. They're not reasonable. You know, it's like, are you that bored that you can't find something to do? Another story about that person is I hear a bunch of noise at 3 o'clock in the morning. I come out of my room and they're filling up a jug of water in the middle of winter. It's like 15 degrees out. And I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, just as if it was the most natural thing in the world, they say, well, that one guy that's been parking in my parking spot, I'm going to go out there and use a funnel and pour water into his car lock so he won't be able to unlock his door in the morning. He's going to be late for work. He's not going to be able to get in his car. And I'm like, first of all, I didn't know if that would work or not. Maybe it would or not, but I was like, okay, just like it was, you know, what are you doing? Oh, I'm getting a cup of coffee or whatever. I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to bed. I just heard some noise out here and I was just curious what was going on. I didn't realize you had some revenge plot that you were going to execute on somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that included freezing up their car lock so they couldn't get into their car, so they couldn't go into work tomorrow, to teach them a lesson about parking in your parking spot. And the same dude, she he didn't know that I was living there. You know, the person I'm talking about is a small little person. I am not a small little person, and you know, fairly intimidating just because of the way I used to look at people, and kind of crazy. So this guy, I don't know why he had I assume it was a coincidence that he had like um, windshield wiper scraper, with the brush on the back in his hand or whatever. But he didn't act like it was coincidence. He knocks on the door. He's madder than hell, and he's got like a something in his hand. He's expecting a 5 foot tall woman to like answer the door. My big ass answers the door, and he's like, um. Then he looks down and he at this wooden stick he has in his hand. He like looks back up at me and starts talking. He like eases it behind his back and flips it behind his back, like off in the snow. And I'm like, he was like, well, somebody put this sign on my car, and I just wanted to know who did it. And I'm like, I don't know anything about that, man. You're gonna have to ask somebody else about that. He's like, okay, and he walked away. And I had seen what he had done. There's no way you can, it's like that one pitcher who was using an emery board on baseballs. There's no way you can sneakily, the umpire comes out and checks him, and he's like, empty your pockets. And he pulls his pocket out, and he tries to, in front of 30,000 people, he tries to flip the emery board that he was using to cheat away from him. It was the exact same thing, but it was with like this wooden stick. So I get the impression that he was just such a wuss that he felt like he needed something in his hand as protection, because he acted like it was a weapon. He didn't act like he went out to scrape his car with it or whatever. I don't know. But it made me feel like cool, because it's like, oh, that guy's scared shitless. I mean, that's always a good feeling. Yeah, I don't get to have that feeling anymore, but I used to like to be like, have guys act like that, like, okay, you understand. But yeah, I went out to where it was, and not too long after that, the little 5 foot tall person come back, and I told him about it, and I was like, yeah, and I was like, there's should be like a hole in the snow. He had like a wooden scraper or something in his hand. He threw it, and she went and got it out of the snow. That's how I knew what it was. I mean, I could pretty much see what it was anyway, but that's how I know for sure what it was. Is she went and got it out of the snow. It left a hole. There was a lot of. That was a bad winter, horrible winter. There was a lot of snow out there, so it's like if you drop your keys in Ohio in the wintertime in the middle of the night, you got a problem. So there was that drunk guy living in a building that lost his keys, and he was not dressed for it at all, and it was freezing out, and he's knocking on my door like, I don't know, 1:30, 2 o'clock at night. He's home from the bar, and he's drunk, and he's like, you gotta help me, man. I'm like, what's the matter? He's like, I'm locked out, and I can't even get in my car, and I can't get in my house, and he don't have no gloves, he don't have no hat. And he's like, man, I gotta take a piss, man. It's like, I'm like, well, what happened? He's like, I dropped my keys in the snow. I looked, I can't find them. And I'm like, you need a flashlight. And he looked at me like, no shit, I need a flashlight. He wasn't that drunk. So he's like, can I take a piss? I'm like, yeah, go ahead, take a piss. So he took a piss, and I'm like, I yelled to the bathroom door. I'm like, I'm gonna get dressed. We're gonna find your keys, man. I got a flashlight. And we got lucky, but that's, it was just luck, because it just leaves a little hole in the snow, and it's dark outside. I'll tell you what, that dude wasn't staying in my house for the night, man. I'd let him use my phone to make other arrangements, to call a taxi to a motel or call a friend or something, but he wasn't staying in my house. His name was Shorty. And he was the guy that had a theme song to his sexual activity. It was, play that funky music, white boy. Every time I heard that song, I knew he was banging this woman, because that was their theme music. I guess he is like a Pavlov's dog or something like that. He could not get an erection, maybe without hearing Wild Cherries, hear that funky music, white boy. I was like, oh, they're fucking again, because I hear that song come on, you could hear the bed spring sometimes or whatever. I just think that was funny as hell, though, man. It's like, man, I guess if you associate a song, I think I knew somebody else that they like to fuck to a particular song. And it's like, well, maybe you should like have a playlist of fucking music instead of like using the same song for it all the time. Because then, like, what happens if your CD breaks? Say you have a problem and you can't play that song, and you get a chance to bed the most beautiful woman that you've ever seen, but your dick is used to hearing a certain song, and then like you blow your one opportunity, and she's like, "This guy's not into me. He can't even get a hard on." It's like, you don't understand. My dick needs a specific theme music, or my dick has an entrance music. Like in Woo, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly Man, where they had like different theme music for different characters. My dick has a theme music, man. It does not enter the picture until uh, that music is played. So this guy's song was Nine Inch Nails, Closer, because it says I want to fuck you like an animal in it. That was his thing. And this other guy's song was Play That Funkin' Music, White Boy. But yeah, I don't know if that's a common thing. I just thought it was something to talk about. Like I said, when I don't get any sleep, I can talk for hours. I've talked for an hour and a half, I'm noticing, um, about all the stupid shit that I've observed in life, and the peculiar things. But yeah, I've known a lot of peculiar people, so I mean, I think everybody has, but I keep track. But then again, anybody that's ever heard a story of about a 13 or 14-year-old kid climbing, and I climbed that tower, climbing like one of them gigantic electrical towers with a 30-30 on their back with a sling and shooting a small, like, two-passenger plane, you're probably going to remember stories like that. Yeah. I couldn't believe that when he told me that. It's like, did you hit it? He goes, yeah, I hit it. I'm a good shot. Okay. What happened? He's like, nothing. I didn't hit anything important on it. I didn't say I like shot the cabin or the gas tank. There wasn't like gas. There was like gas flowing out of a hole in it, like in a movie, and then it's runs out of gas. Yeah, we're taking on fire here. We're losing fuel. We have to find a place to land. There would have been a lot of places to land out there though, because that was out in the country, and yeah, but a lot of people dying in them little planes. But it wasn't like shooting a low flying 747 or something like that. It was like shooting a paper plane, some kind of little small aircraft. I used to see him flying over his fields and stuff. They had like a farm out there. Oh, I feel a little bit better about things in general. The birds, I only want to strangle them now. I don't want to outright murder them. Just strangle them to make them shut up. So my mood is improved. Um, yeah, I should. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. What do you do when you've had no sleep? And it's been like this a couple of nights, and then like I'm not only do I sleep for like 3 hours, but I like swallowed wrong somewhere during the night, so I was coughing like crazy, trying to sleep and cough at the same time, and having dreams and stuff. So I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with the rest of my day. Probably like try to stay awake and be ready for the hurricane aid worker. I was gonna say her name. I guess I won't say her name. To bring me LeBron James cards to look up, and then be ashamed and say, uh, do a little prep work in the bathroom, but I can't get back like behind the toilet, and it looks really bad back there, but it's like I told other people that's not shit. It's cat food. Because I would feed the cats out the window, and when I would open the cat food, occasionally cat food would splash somewhere. Open a can of cat food and put it on top of these little trays with the strings connected to them and lower them out the window in the bathroom. out the back there because this guy's got like 14 dogs. Actually, I don't know, three, four next door. And like I said, one of them attacked the cat. One of them attacked one of the cats I was taking care of on the porch and was throwing it up in the air and shit, playing with it. The cat wasn't playing. It wasn't a game to the cat, but it was a game to the dog. He's like grabbing this cat, throwing it up in the air. I've seen, dogs when they're serious. He was actually playing with the cat, but yeah, I was like yelling at him through the window at first because I was so shocked by what I was seeing. Luckily, I was there to see it, and I realized, what the hell are you doing? I opened up the window and yelled at him, yelled at the dog, and freaked it out, and gave it a chance for the cat to run around the back, and then I just started feeding him out the back to save him from the dogs over there. And as I've said before, that caused a minor conflict between me and some guy where I had to, you know, get in a stare down with this kid, like in his 20s, and be like, front him out about it. I'm like, hey, one of your dogs attacked my cat. He's like, well, your cat attacked my dog. And I'm just like, no, I'm not talking to this idiot. Because there ain't no 12-pound cat attacking no 70-pound dog. Not in this universe. Not unless the cat is rabid or something. That's not happening. I mean, maybe if she was a mama with kittens. This was a neutered male cat that was getting attacked. So, I'm like, clearly I'm talking to an idiot. So I didn't, I was just like, I don't want them dogs on the porch. And I looked at the other people on the porch and I said, I don't want them dogs on the porch. And just made my point and left. And it just gave him the most evil stare I could imagine. And, I went and talked to his dad after that. And I'm like, look, I made a compromise. You guys are okay neighbors and all that. And I know dogs will be dogs and all. I just walked up to him and shook his hand and said I had words with your son the other day, and he was like, yeah, I heard about that, and we talked about it like more mature people. But cat and a dog's a family member. You gotta protect them like you know you gotta protect your people. You gotta protect your dog or your cat. You can't just let something like that happen and just let it slide. You have to say something about it. And that's why the bathroom is really horrible looking, is because years of feeding cats out that window and spilling things. And yeah, it's so that's tomorrow. I just have to get over. I'm all screwed up physically, so I have to just get over my shame. Shame can be a real powerful force and drive you to do all kind of crazy things. Um, so it keeps people from going to the doctor. And that one thing that happened where I saw a woman drive off the road, hit a flagpole in front of the post office, knocked the flagpole down across Dubra Avenue, that busy street that I'm always talking about. And I'm like, it's going to hit this parked van. Part of me was like, this is going to be really interesting. So it just misses this parked van that's across the street. There was no cars coming at the time. And it hit the road and bounced like boom, boom, boom. It bounced like 2 or 3 times. And, a woman crashed her car bad enough to break a flagpole. And I was walking at the time. I walked up, and police were there, and pretty quick, I looked inside the car, and this woman's all covered with blood. She's not young, and she realized there was people there, and she started buttoning up her shirt. And I'm like, man, shame is a powerful thing. You don't even know where you are, who you are, and there's just blood running down your face, and you're worried about covering up your titties. And it's like, or hi. you worried about how you look. It's just like an automatic reflex type of thing. I just remember that. But yeah, that's something I'll never forget. And I watched it all go down. It was all right in front of me. I could see her veering off the road. I don't know what happened or why she lost control of the vehicle or if she had a seizure or I don't know any of the details. Cops don't like a lot of people hanging around, but I looked inside the car and there wasn't nothing that could be done for her, and there was already a big crowd of people there, and I could already hear the sirens coming and stuff. But I saw it right in front of me. Her hit that flagpole and chopped that flagpole down like a tree. Big metal flagpole coming down, and I was like, I think it's gonna hit that van, and that van's gonna explode. I was like, I could see it before it happened, though it never happened. I could see like just the windows blowing out of the van, which would lead me to other things but I think I'm gonna stop here. It leads me to thinking about something else that I should have had a picture of, where a tree fell on a car and broke the axle and the wheels were sticking out sideways like that. Not a car, a truck. It was my uncle's truck. He loved that truck, even though he loved it because he had it so long. It was a little like F-100, a little tiny pickup truck, which he hauled stuff for me in a couple of times. So it was useful. I think they make F-100s, whatever a small Ford pickup is. It was a small Ford pickup. And lightning struck a tree in his backyard, and he had his truck parked underneath this tree, and the limb was as big around as a tree. And it was like one of them limbs that shoot off of the side of a tree. Sometimes you'll get that weird limb that almost grows out horizontal. Well, onto his truck, man, and broke the axle and made the wheels stick out sideways. And he walked around. I think I was coming over to pay the rent or something like that. He's like, man, come around back and take a look. This is my Uncle Joe, World War II vet. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, I've never seen anything like that. He goes, man, why did it have to hit my truck? He's like, it didn't have to hit my truck. And I was like, at least it didn't hit your house. It could have hit your house. Because it's a huge tree. He's like, yeah, that was kind of dumb, me leaving that tree up there like that anyway with that limb pointing out. Because it hit the truck, and like part of it was, if I remember, now I'm thinking about it, this is bad storytelling 101. Well, I'm thinking about it, it actually did hit his house and did damage part of his house, and he had to do repairs on it. So, but the truck actually saved his house from getting worse damage done to it. But it did minimal damage to his house because it smacked the fuck out of his truck. So anyways, that's enough stream of stream of consciousness, if this is consciousness, if I am actually awake and not dreaming this horror. It's like, sometimes it's like my life is a bad dream. It's like how did this happen? How am I walking? How is my leg like shaped like a giraffe leg now and pointing the wrong way? And how is it that I've lost 2 inches off my penis and I don't even know how? And how is it that, yeah, I'm stuck on a computer doing something I never thought I would be doing, and that's talking for almost 2 hours to anybody that will listen about the, as they say in The Hobbit, the small doings of my people. Yeah, the small events of my race, I think they said, or something like that. Yeah, the hobbits that I know, though, they shoot at airplanes, they beat up their sergeants, and they shoot animals out the window in a residential area. And they threaten to beat people up for no reason. They stun gun people in foreign countries and kick them in the head just on the off chance that they might be abducted. And, these are different kind of people that I know. Yeah. Some of those doings aren't so small, and most of them are illegal. But yeah, I will run through. I think there was wish I could remember that. You do not know your peril, King Theoden, because young Master Hobbit will take up your whole day with reciting the tales of the small doings of his people, or something like that. I don't know. It was in in the Lord of the Rings, one of the Lord of the Rings books. I don't know. I was, yeah, I got that literary streak, you know. But that doesn't mean I can remember exactly what was said. I've always had a habit of rearranging things into my own words, to where, like I've said before, and will probably say again, those nuns used to be like, "Read what's on the page, Steve. Read what's on the page." And I'm like, "Man, what's on the page sucks. What I'm making up is better." You know, but they used to yell at me all the time because I would just like change everything on the fly. I could see the words on the page, but I would just want to rearrange them. So that's the way I would read. Is like, okay, I get the point. So yeah, I can see what's on the page, but I can get the point of where the sentence is going, and I'm going to get there before you do anyway. Unless it's a really well written book, then I read what's on the page. But it's like, yeah, I know that Colonel Mustard did it in the observatory with the candlestick already, so I don't need to really pay that much attention to this sentence. That's just the way I would read when I was younger. When I used to read, I don't read anymore. I listen to audiobooks. But yeah, hopefully that wasn't too banal and was somewhat interesting. I tried to be energetic. Hey, that's always a plus. You know, you don't want somebody droning on at you in a monotone. Yeah, you don't want anybody droning on at you in a monotone with his mogalomaniacal. Just start mispronouncing words left and right. Yeah. My own egomaniacal voice. I don't know, man. I'm done. This is ridiculous, man. These last 3 days have just been a nightmare, and now it's like, what the hell am I gonna do with this day? I've got no energy to do nothing. I hurt like holy hell, and yeah, I have the yawning abyss of a full day ahead of me. Anyways, it's been nice chatting in your general direction, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.